up, world? Nicholas Coriano here. Another video. Today I want to talk about riparian rights and what that means for real estate owners. You guys know I love that real estate. Riparian rights. Riparian rights, I pulled up some notes here on my other phone so I can talk to you guys. Look, I went to business school, went to law school, graduated both. Now I'm a full-time retiree / real estate investor, business owner, business investor. You can check some of my other videos out to know exactly how I get down in business. But I want to talk about riparian rights. You know, riparian rights basically create the laws around water and real estate and water. Whether water abuts your real estate, what kind of rights you have. A lot of these laws came out of Florida, so it's ironic that I'm here right now, Miami Beach. Wow, look at this water. Right, so how much of the water do they own on this beach, this hotel here, right? Well, usually what riparian rights say is they own up to the tide line. So if you see here, see that tide line? See where the seaweed kind of comes up, the high tide and low tide meet? That's where they own to. They don't own past that. They own up to that. So all of this back, right back this way, that's theirs. That's why they can put their umbrellas there. Right, because this hotel or this building owns all of this sand up to about here. Okay, so on beach properties, that's generally how it works. But there's other doctrines you want to watch out for, because water is not always a beach, right? Sometimes it could be a lake, sometimes it can be a river, and in some places, most places, you have access. If it abuts your land, if it touches your land, you have access to that water. But some people have what they call a prior appropriation doctrine. So usually out in the West, right, where water is scarcer, this becomes an issue. But let's say you have a river that goes all the way through Nevada, right? But there was a guy in northern Nevada that decided that he was going to use it for XYZ. Usually you have the right to use it for residential in terms of, reasonable use, meaning, if you need water to shower and eat, right, you'll get that. But let's say you wanted to start a commercial application, all of a sudden you're draining all the water on the guy who owns the land south of you, right? Then that's when it becomes an issue. And you see this sometimes in upstate New York, where they control the flow of water on rivers, and what ends up happening is the guy downstream ends up getting the shaft, so to speak, and not being able to control whether the water comes in at 2 feet higher than it normally does, right? Or 3 feet higher than it normally does, volume-wise. So watch out for something called the appropriation document, or prior appropriation document. It basically says that someone had access to that water before you, or in a higher spot before you. Usually this happens with rivers, right? And with rivers, this happens often. And then, you have what they call riparian rights, prior appropriation. So riparian rights are just flat out, look, this water touches it, I can use as much as I want. So the guy in the north could take all of it if he wants, because it's his water, right? And leave the guy to the south screwed, right? But then there's places where there's a hybrid of prior appropriation, and basically where they're saying, where they're basically telling you, hey, yeah, you have access to this water, but if someone needs it to the south, you can only use X amount of water, or so much water, right? So those are the hybrid states. And then most states have statuified this, have codified this in a statute or some kind of code that they tell you exactly what the rights are. Like in California, it's all in statutes, right? So you got to check your local statutes state by state, sometimes county by county, and sometimes city by city, depending where you are. But if you're in real estate, realize, look, there's, 75% of the world is water, right? 75% of the world is that. But only a small percentage of the world has clean water. So these are things that increase the value of your real estate, right? This hotel up here that you see behind me is priced more than the building behind it, because it abuts the water, because we have the option to use this sand here. And they charge money for these umbrellas, right? So just a tip of the day, a land investing business tip of the day, or real estate tip of the day. Check into the riparian rights and know your usage before you invest in something, because sometimes you may not have usage. Usually you do have usage, but just check. Because let's say there is no laws in that area and you can take as much of it as you want. That is more valuable than a lot of the places that have, statutes that say how much you can take out of it. So usually the farther north you go, or the less impactful the stream of water is, usually the more rights you have. But check it out. If you need any more help with land investing, I have a whole nother vlog called Homescape, HOMESKAPE, where I put up land investing tips. And hopefully this was helpful.